Hey, welcome back to the Junior Small P channel. Another brutal day on the charts there and on the board, all in red. Silver down below $17 an ounce, taking just a beating. Gold right on the verge. It could very well close, I haven't checked, below the 1200 mark today, and if not today, most likely tomorrow. As you can see here, the charts, just over the last 5 days, we've just seen a cascade downward. You can see right in the middle there was that big 5% drop we had on the 1 day where it just got crushed. That gold also just cascading downward. Those are both 5-day charts. You look here, this is a dollar chart. So over that same period of time, this is a 5-day US dollar chart. You know, the dollar has picked up a little bit over the last day or so. It took a dip, but dollar strength definitely corresponds and has a connection and something to do with the falling metal prices, as well as, we cannot forget, the Fed. Of course, the Fed's doing its little thing. I mean, how often do we have to talk about the Fed? You guys know about it. They have their little pseudo meetings, and then they talk about how they're going to potentially do this, potentially do that. They're never certain. You ever notice that? They're never certain until the last minute. It's like, we're not playing poker, buddy. Just tell us what you're going to do, like a week or two ahead of time. You know, come up with a plan. I mean, when you're at the helm of the world economy, you would think you'd want people to be a little bit more prepared, and you'd think you'd know what you were doing and what decision you would make instead of a last-minute decision. You know, I would definitely not want a bus driver that I'm on the bus seated in to be making last-minute turn decisions on a windy road or a mountain pass. You know, hopefully he has the route planned out somewhat. Maybe he's driven it before and he knows the curves that are coming up ahead, and he's, you know, planning accordingly. It doesn't seem like the people steering the large world economy bus have that type of acumen. Here we are. This is another silver chart. This is looking back a ways. So we're looking at this is a pretty steady decline. I mean, just January of 13, we were almost touching that $35 mark, and look at where we've come. Sitting here now below the 18 mark. You know, we're still above that January of 16 low, 13.15. This actually gives you some hope. To me, it's a beacon. It definitely looks like we're in a trough, and the only way to go would be most likely, and logically you'd think would be up. Here's another one. This is going back a little bit further. It's about a decade. The decade view, 10 years. Seems like yesterday. How about that? Look at that 956 there. You might remember that day? I remember debating with a friend. We were going to split a monster box right around that time, and we didn't do it. I believe there was a time where silver was under the 9 mark, or right around 9. It might have been earlier than that, but sometime around 2008, I remember a conversation, a friend of mine, and we were gonna, hey, let's buy a monster box and split it. You know, silver's only $8-9 an ounce right now, and guess what? We didn't do it. Made a mistake. We all make those mistakes. Gold at a 5-week low, falling for the 6th day in a row. Gold price sustains heavy blows, drops to the lowest in a month. Gold hits a 5-week low. Further losses expected. This was Yahoo 32 minutes ago. Let's get into some articles. There is some cool articles out today. One of them you're going to find particularly interesting. Gold 5-week low, falling for the 6th day in a row. Some nice, looks like Russian gold bars there. Here we go. Gold fell for the 6th straight session and reached a 5-week low on Thursday, with analysts expecting further losses as investors become increasingly certain that U.S. interest rates will rise. Of course, they're talking about the interest rates, the Fed. Of course, they're certain. They're certain they're going to rise. They're certain, 100% certain. Guarantee it with a window of error. Spot gold down 0.5%, 1202.11. Gold hits 5-week low. Further loss is expected, as we discussed. Gold dropped to the lowest since February 1st. Could break below 1200 in the next few days. Silver, platinum extended losses to January troughs. Palladium falls to a 1-month low. Metals just taking a beating right now. New York and London, March 9. Gold fell for the 6th straight session and reached a 5-week low on Thursday, with analysts expecting further losses, as we've just discovered and discussed. With funds futures fully pricing in the rate hike story, I'd presume gold will just be supported at the 1200 handle into next week. Interest rate futures implied that traders had put the chance of a rate hike next week at 86% on Wednesday, compared to 82% at Tuesday's close, according to CME Group's FedWatch program. It sounds like they're predicting a low pressure event in the Atlantic during hurricane season. Over an 86% chance of this and 82% chance of that. That's the kind of uncertainty that I find very disturbing. You would think the Fed would be able to just come out with it instead of creating a world of uncertainty. It's kind of ridiculous. In gold, fundamentals on balance indicate a moderate short position, UBS Chief Investment Office Wealth Management said in a note. In addition to our short model position, we have a long gold position under macro scenario trades, resulting in an overall net long gold position. So amidst these falling gold prices, we see this news: Indian gold imports almost triple on wedding demand. So it looks like there's an uptick in gold consumption and import by India in preparation for their big wedding season. Jewelers are increasing their stockpiles right before the wedding period, which should start next month. Shipments jumped 175% to 96.4 metric tons in February from a year earlier, according to a person familiar with provisional data from the Finance Ministry, who asked not to be identified as the data isn't public. Overseas purchases slid 32% to 595.5 tons in the 11 months to February. Ministry spokesman DS Malik declined to comment on the data. Here's import recovery. Jewelry's restock ahead of a key gold buying day. Weddings, there you go. February obviously up from December and January, and even higher than April, May, June, July, or August, September. We expect some heavy buying in April, as a large number of weddings are expected to take place. Mehul Chokshi, chairman of jewelry store chain Gitanjali Gems Limited, said by phone from Mumbai. The wedding season runs from April to July, so we are expecting some recovery in demand. While annual Indian demand should recover, year-on-year growth rates will be modest relative to historical levels. Citigroup Incorporated said in a research report Wednesday, demand is estimated around 725 tons in 2017, similar to levels seen the prior year. It said Indians buy gold during festivals and for marriages as part of the bridal trousseau or as gifts, and the nation imports almost all the gold it consumes. Gold prices in London fell for the third straight day on Wednesday, declining as much as 0.4% to $1211.51 an ounce, the lowest level in more than a month. Gold suffers worst run since October as slide below 1200 looms. All of this down news. Oh, and then we find gold to jump $200 by the end of the year. Bank of America says 7 hours ago on CNBC by Sriha Srivastava. Here we read that gold may be under pressure in the run-up to the next Federal Reserve rate hike, but prices are expected to rally by around $200 an ounce by the end of the year, according to the Corporate and Investment Banking Division of Bank of America. In a research note Thursday, analysts at Bank of America Merrill Lynch highlighted its recent dip, but said there were reasons for optimism. Quote, while tighter monetary policy is not bullish, inflation and a range of uncertainties, including European elections and protectionism, should support the yellow metal. As such, we see prices at $1,400 per troy ounce by year's end. And I do agree with that statement. Also in the article, we read that gold is down more than 7% since the day of the U.S. election, but the precious metal has managed to pare some losses and is up nearly 5% since the start of the year. Gold is highly sensitive to rising U.S. interest rates because they increase the opportunity cost of holding non-yielding bullion while boosting the dollar, in which it is priced. With speculations rife that the Federal Reserve will hike interest rates at its policy meeting next week, gold hit a 5-week low on Thursday, but remained cautious ahead of Friday's non-farm payrolls. Analysts expect a strong jobs number could lead to bigger expectations from the Fed for a rate hike. Gold remains under pressure as markets await the upcoming FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee, meeting when the Fed is expected to raise rates, UBS said in a research note on Wednesday. I did see in other news, ladies and gentlemen, there is a probability, and some would argue a very high probability, that the Fed won't raise interest rates. So we will see. I've been wrong trying to guess what the Fed's going to do in the past. They're very difficult to predict sometimes. However, let's say they do not raise interest rates because of things that we do not know or are not privy to. It will be interesting to see the metals' reaction at that time, because everyone's placing their bets and aligning things in preparation for what they deem a guaranteed rate rise. So if that doesn't happen, there should be an interesting reaction in metal prices on that very day. This is pretty interesting. The Bank of Mexico reveals its gold bar list. Bank of Mexico reveals gold bar list. This is by Guillermo Barba. Apparently, the Bank of Mexico has become one of the first central banks in the world to reveal its complete gold bar list. I mean, this is everything. Serial numbers, the weight of each bar, where the bar was made and assayed. We'll get into that. We'll let you guys take a peek. In this space, we have recommended that Banxico and any other investor with positions in gold as a store of value and financial insurance should maintain physical possession of its bars, or at least store them in a secure vault on an allocated basis. Last December, thanks to an official request for information by means of the transparency law, Banxico informed us that of the 3.881 million ounces of gold that the Bank of Mexico has at the end of October 2016, 98.95% are held in the United Kingdom. 0.0004% at the Federal Reserve Bank in the United States, and the remaining 1.05% in Mexico. Banxico also told us that it had a total of 7,265 gold bars in allocated accounts at the Bank of England, which means that only about 2.9 million ounces are well identified with serial number, brand code, gross weight, assay, and fine weight at the location. The rest, more than 930,000 gold ounces at the BOE, Bank of England, are still, quote, held on an unallocated basis. These unallocated accounts are those in which the owner has not been assigned specific gold bars, but simple, quote, rights to a certain amount of gold. That is why Banxico could not tell us how many ingots it owned in the last case. The Mexican Central Bank didn't give us details on the number of bars or coins it has at the Fed, nor at its main vault in Mexico City. We're going to pause before we get into the rest of it. What I find very interesting is the number and the amount of gold they keep on the other side of the world, on the other side of the Atlantic. Don't they trust themselves with holding their own gold? Why is it all of their gold is in England? So apparently England still has some gold, it just doesn't belong to them. It belongs to Mexico. Here it says, we hope that Banxico will correct soon this situation and not only have all of its gold reserves on an unallocated basis, but at least half of them in Mexican territory. Repatriation is the name of the game, a game that every central bank should play. Meanwhile, we are happy to share with you Banxico's 7,265 gold bar list that it gave us through the document number LT-BM-18703. It's a small step in the right direction, that of transparency. Congratulations, Mr. Carsons. We hope that from now on, other central banks will publish their own lists gold market participants have the right to confirm publicly that their bars are theirs and only theirs. And if you go to this article and you click on the download the complete list here, you see it there in orange letters right above that chart, it will then take you to a file in which you can see this page after page after page of a bar list. And again, this is page 1. This goes all the way. There's many pages because you have to get to over 7,000 bars listed. And as you see here, there's a serial number, a brand code, the gross weight. As you can see, there's London Good Delivery bars, all of which are measuring around the 400 troy ounce mark. Has their assayed purity there, 995, 996, 996, 995.5. So very clean, very good bars there. The fine weight in troy ounces is there off on the side, the right side, all of them measuring, about 400 ounces in gold again. And then it has the refiner's name there, AGR joint venture for all of those bars. Moving down through the list, you can see the theme carries on all the numbers pretty much in an average territory. And then I skipped all the way to the end for you so we could see the very end of the article, the very last page in this file. And we see 7,265 bars. That's the last bar. And it's Valcambi SA. We've got 414 ounces at 995.6 purity. A lot of these bars here, 998, 998. Again, 400 and so odd ounces. So very interesting indeed, getting a look there at the 7,265 good delivery bars that Mexico holds. And here I am. I always thought Mexico was broke. I remember back in the 80s when the U.S. had to bail them out, the peso was worthless, and they just had a lot of economic trouble. And I never think of Mexico as having any currency or having any gold in their vaults or ownership on any gold whatsoever. And here they are with quite a significant number of gold bars. I mean, who's going to argue? That's a healthy amount of wealth right there. Before the video's done, I'll try to calculate out exactly what that 7,265 bars times an average of 400 ounces equals, and we'll try to figure out how much that's worth in today's gold value, and we'll throw that number up on the screen. So there you go, very interesting. Mexico's gold bar list, gold taking a beating lately, India buying gold, silver taking a beating. We'll see where this all goes. I'm pretty confident, I've been through this before, you've been through this before. It's like getting kicked in the guts every now and then. You just got to get up and ignore it. It's just the way it is. This is the world we live in, heavily manipulated. A lot of false flag, deep state crimes going on. But the one thing they can't touch is our physical metal. So they can manipulate the prices all they want. But God help them if they come try to take the metal out of my hands. That'll be very interesting times indeed. Thanks for tuning in to the Junius Maltby channel. Keep stacking deep, coal, and metallic. Have a good day.